one of the most, should I call it controversial models. Mnajua wasee wengi, actually so many people have been sold to Prados. Unakuja unaambiwa hii ni TZG, kumbe gari ni TXL. Another one unauziwa GX, unaambiwa ni VXL. So how do you tell the differences between these Toyota Prados? Now, let's start by, before we talk about the Prado, I would like to introduce our guest today. Our guest today is a Prado enthusiast as well as a dealer. His name is Humphrey. But before we get to Humphrey, let's talk about the events of the week. Well, the rains are here with us, and in Nairobi, whenever it rains, we get to experience flooding, and there are people who have very bad driving habits because you will see flowing water and you will decide to drive there, not considering the model of your car, the make, and even the wedding tolerance that your vehicle has. And I want to show you two of such people who thought that their cars would turn into submarines when they were driven through water. Take a look at this. You can So now, the first victim is a BMW that drives hapo kwa maji, and then it stalls. Then the second culprit is a Mercedes Benz. Well, these are sophisticated cars, and gari ziko na electronics mingi sana, zikipatana na maji, you know what happens. And even most modern cars have advanced electronic systems that do not go well with water. So what happened to defensive driving? Number two, before we get to the Prados, now kuna zile gari mnaitanga ndege za chini, and they are driven by the so-called Mira pilots. And this is a very sad discussion that we are having at this moment as a country, because this week one of the Mira pickups hit a motorcyclist in somewhere in Moya, and the guys at Moya decided to torch that vehicle. Well, most people, most enthusiasts wa gari za Mira, they took to the online platforms to try and criticize the Moya guys for torching that vehicle. And now the other Moya guys are now fighting back to Sewameru kusema how many cars, or rather how many guys are going to be killed by these Mira vehicles that speed even within towns. So I know there are people who would like to defend them, but I tend to think that, one, yes, it is not right kuchoma gari ya mtu, but again, it is not also right to drive these pickups and even proboxes the way they are driven. Now, we are going to have that discussion with Jogona in a few. And the other thing, number two, there was also a probox that did the same. So with the probox, it happened to collide head-on with a truck today. And this time it was somewhere between Embu and Meru, I believe. So two consecutive accidents that have been, fatal. That tells you that something is going terribly wrong. So tell us in the comments, what needs to be done about these Mira and Mogoka vehicles? Why do they have rights, over other motorists? Kwa nini hawa watu wanaruhusiwa kuendesha magari hivyo? Because up to when are people going to die? The irony of this thing is that mnakimbiza matawi wenye wanaikula na 5 hours at the speed of 1 branch per hour, yet you want to drive at neck break speeds to deliver this. I think there should be other ways za kudeliver hii Mira. And as we start off, I would like, maybe before we head to the Prado manenos, we can pick Humphrey's word on this. So Humphrey,
Yes.
karibu sana.
Asante sana Eric.
Guys, confirm that sound is okay. Confirm that sound is okay. Alafu wanasema volume iko chini. How is volume on that side? Can you confirm that volume is okay? Andy, volume is fine. Okay, audience, confirm that volume is okay. Is volume okay? Okay, volume should be fine. I'm hoping the volume is okay by now. Bado wanasema volume iko low, lakini hiyo ni Mkenya daima. Anasema that the volume is low, but I'm sure by now we have rectified. Okay. Who else? Let's have a sound confirmation from the audience. Volume wamesema iko sawa. Lucy Kemi is saying volume is okay. So now, Humphrey.
Yes.
Before tuongee story ya Prado.
Yes.
Let's talk about history ya gari za Mira.
Well, history ya Mira more fit naona ni kama ni culture. To me, I think it's more of a culture. Because after all, these people in a rush to deliver that crop, the high valuable crop.
Yes.
Yet the people who consume it, as you have said, they take 1 branch per hour. So they take like more than 5 hours to get to their satisfaction.
Yes.
There was a suggestion a while back of using the Isiolo airport.
Yes.
Or using the refrigerated trucks, because after all they need the crop to be at the most fresh, and this won't inconvenience other road users, because these trucks, we know the pickups and the pro boxes, they pass through highly populated areas.
Yes.
I would just my suggestion is using refrigerated trucks.
Yes.
Modern countries, civilized countries, they don't do these things about culture and all that. Safety is always number one. And if they're going to use refrigerated trucks, of course, the cash crop, that crop, that valuable crop, the consumers will get it in almost as fresh as it is from the farm. So I don't support the high speed these people do, because actually they don't do high speed, they do constant more than average speed. So my suggestion is just using the refrigerated trucks.
And they are very, we can say they are very reckless.
They are reckless. It's more of culture. These guys say, I understand they're paid by, it depends on yule mwenye atafika wa kwanza at the depot. Yule atafika wa kwanza, they are the ones who get all the cred,
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, somebody is we are having a problem with the visual. I think we should give them give us a minute to try and sort that out. Andy, are we fine? Do we have visual? Okay, poleni sana wadau. We were facing some challenge with the power. So poleni sana, ni hali ya kuwa wa Kenya. So we were having a conversation with Humphrey, and Humphrey was saying something just before we went off, and that was about the Mira driving.
Yes. So I was making a suggestion. Instead of risking the lives of all these people, where these guys they drive through the densely populated areas, they can just be why can't they just be using refrigerated trucks, and the consumers of the product, they need it to be as fresh as possible. What do you think?
I think it's a matter what you said, culture ni mbaya, because you see, even you look at matatus, and
Yes.
people will say ni culture.
Culture.
They want to, you see, you cannot have a culture of endangering people's lives.
Yes.
Huh?
Impunity.
Impunity.
Yes.
Impunity is the word. So I
Yes.
think we need to have very, very honest conversations with ourselves as a country.
Yes.
Sababu, you see, we cannot be blaming the government on everything.
It's also like we are behaving like we are still living in the Stone Age, you know?
Yes, that is true.
Because what's the point of culture risking the lives of other people? And the users of this product, these people, the drivers on the users of the trucks, no, the people, the operators of the pickups and the pro boxes, they're getting paid from the sale, the proceeds of this Mira, the crop once it's sold.
Yes.
The users of this, they want it as fresh as possible. Most of them, they even don't care how it's transported to wherever it is. After all, they get it because I usually see on Thika Road, when that crop is coming, it's dropped at several points. And wherever it's dropped, it doesn't go to the consumer immediately. It goes to another distributor, who perhaps takes to another distributor to get to who? To the user.
Yes.
So the user even doesn't know when it came. They don't care about that.
Lakini you know, Njoroge, I hear them, kunayo wanaitanga maini, kuna ingine wanaita mabati. Ama that is the...
Sasa hiyo ni ile lugha ya ndani yake. Mimi I was looking at the aspect of safety and also efficiency as well.
Yes.
Getting that because your substance, getting it as fresh as possible.
Okay. So when it comes to freshness, I can say we can confidently say that even flowers zinatoka huko Timau na zinafika ngambo zikiwa very
even
fresh.
Fruits, we import fruits from the Mediterranean countries and we get them as fresh as like today morning, you know?
Yes.
Na zinakuja kwa they come by air, refrigerated air.
Sawa. So at least from kuna jamaa wa Collins Mwenda anasema ati he is tuned in from Ngovo. Lakini huyo atatuambia vizuri kuhusu hiyo Mira. Now, Humphrey,
yes.
Let's get to the business of the day.
Yes.
Toyota Prado.
Yes.
You know, we have had instances of people, you know, the VXL is under very high demand in Kenya today.
Yes.
And we have seen most unscrupulous dealers. Mtu anaenda unapata ameingizwa GX.
Yes.
Ameambiwa ni VXL juu aliona badge.
Yes.
But hawajui, they don't know what a VXL should look like.
Yes. Thank you for this. First of all, to introduce the Toyota Land Cruiser Prado. That's the full name of the car. It's an iteration of the Toyota Land Cruiser. It's a J. No, all the Land Cruisers, they start with the chassis. The chassis starts with J. It's basically a small Land Cruiser. It's not that car is not produced for cars for markets in the world. They're exclusively manufactured in Japan for use in Australia. It's the biggest market. Use in South Africa. South Africa is the same supply we get in Africa, the tropical versions. For use in the United Kingdom, there are a couple of European countries that use them, but in small numbers. And there is the iteration of the Prado known as the Lexus GX for use in the US. It has been there since the 120 series. Now the Land Cruiser Prado in the UK, it's known as just the Land Cruiser. In Australia, it's the Land Cruiser Prado. In the rest of the countries, it's a Land Cruiser Prado. It comes in many versions according to the different countries. For example, the Prado we get from for the African market, the tropical version, they are different from the Australian version, and they are different from the UK version, and they are different from the Japanese versions. But all of them are manufactured on the same assembly line in Japan. They come in many variations. They come in different engine variations as well. To add on that, the J150 that we are talking about right now here, because that's the one that has been mutilated by many people, and it's the car that we're using. Most of the cars we are seeing on the roads right now are the J150s. It is the production started in towards late August 2009. They were produced together with the J120, but the J120 was phased out in September 2009. It's a full-size SUV that uses the ladder frame chassis. They have been exclusive used, or rather, they come from factory with many different engines. The 2TL, it's the smallest and the least powerful, 2.7 liter petrol, naturally aspirated. Then there used to be the 1GL 4000cc V6, naturally aspirated as well, but it was phased out later on. Then there was 1KD FTV, that's turbocharged 3000cc diesel that made in many different variations according to the adaptations of different countries. And lately we got the 1GD FTV, which is an advancement of the 1KD. It's 2.8 liter. It's basically the 1GD, but less engine capacity, more refinement on fueling, on the air, better turbo, and all that. The 2TL is one of the most reliable Toyota petrol engines ever. That engine has been in production since around 2005, about 2005, because they used to be produced together with the 3RZ. The 3RZ was an EFI 2.7 liter naturally aspirated engine. Something to note, the 2TL engine is still being produced in the 2024 J250s. It's one of those few engines that have gone for, they have been produced for more than 20 years. It shows how much reliable it is, how much it's loved in Japan. It doesn't have a lot of power, but you will never have issues with it. You just put fuel on it, and that is it. If you feel it doesn't have enough power like you're used to, about the one, it's less than 180 horsepower, about 156 horsepower. You feel it's not enough of that, you just change the plugs and put genuine plugs, and that is it, and do service on it. Talking now of the different trims, all those different countries, they have their own unique trims. For example, the TX you get in South Africa is not the same as the TX you get from Japan. The VX you get from Australia is different from the VX you get from tropical Toyota Kenya, and it's different from the VX you get from tropical South Africa. They are different. The Invincible you get from the UK, the highest trim in the UK is not the Invincible. It's different from the Kakadu, the highest trim in Australia. It's different from the TZG, the highest trim in Japan. And it's different from the VXL, the highest trim in the tropical regions. But they all have things in common. Majority of the cars we have in Kenya are imports. We bring a lot of grey imports. So we'll discuss a lot of Japan. We'll discuss a few of Australia and a few of South Africa and a few of Toyota Kenya, because most people around, most people have never even been inside a Toyota Kenya car, because it's a reserve for the P in the society, because the owners of those cars, they buy them brand new in Kenya, where not most people will not afford brand new. So in Japan, we have the TX trim, which is the most basic. Then we've got the TXL. TXL has several sub-trims in it. Some to commemorate something according to when the Toyota Land Cruiser started production. Others to just commemorate, depending on what the Japanese people have and the culture in Japan. And then we have the highest trim in Japan as the TZG. And even the TZG, they come in different trims as well. But all the TZGs, there's something unique about them. So the most basic TX, they can come in any of the engines. In 2009, there were only two engines available. In 2009, when the production started, the 2TL 2700cc petrol naturally aspirated, and the 4000cc 1GL V6, both naturally aspirated. So that means there was no diesel Prado from Japan when we started it. When it was started in 2009. The diesel started later on, around August 2015. When the 1GD came around. Point to note, diesel Prados have been there in Japan even before J150s, because we used to have the KD J120, the 1KD 120 for the Japanese market that ended in 2009. It was very rare, and those people who were selling them back in the day and the users back in the day, I understand it was a very popular car, especially if you got the TZ version with a 1KD engine. They used to have the sunroof, nice interior, and all that. And of course, the Japanese cars are usually very clean. The second, now I was talking about the most basic. The most basic is the 2.7 liter petrol TX. And the TX, they can come in 2 iterations. It can come as TX 5-seater or TX 7-seater. Either can have a sunroof or not, but it will still be a TX. Either it will be having a TXL badge or not. So the 5-seater TX, those ones, if you check the Japanese catalog, they were cheaper than the 7-seater TXs. It just depends on what the person who bought that car from factory, brand new car, what they built on. The 4-liter 1GL V6, they were not on the TX valuation. Then they came purely as TZ. And the TZ, one thing that was standard was the KDSS suspension, the kinetic dynamic stability systems. And that's basically an active or rather a live stability system.
Yes.
Alive, because it depends on the it depends on the car speed to determine how stable it will be. It minimizes the load of the car and minimizes the wheel travel and all that, because it has some canisters behind the rear diff and on the sides of the on the sides on the front suspension besides the chassis. The TZ, all of them were 7-seaters, and they had fabric seats for the TZs. Then from there, we got the TZG back in 2009. That TZG exclusively came with a 4000cc V6 EG. Back in the day, it had air suspension on the rear air suspension. Toyota called it rear AHC, active heat control. Some had cameras all out. When they have camera, if you want to know that your car has cameras all out, it will be having the wing mirror at the front. Because in Japan, it's big cars, they all have to have a blind spot camera or a blind spot mirror to show you. Because like for example, the front bumper is a blind spot. The front left is a fender. There is a blind spot there. So it was easy to know that your car had the original monitor. The original monitor, those are the cars that had now the 3 cameras. They had a camera at the front, 2 cameras, one on each underneath each side mirror, and one at the back. There were 4 cameras actually, and those things are still there even today. So now we'll be done with the first generation of the J150 from Japan. We jump all the way to when we got the diesel version, because in 2013 we got a facelift, the teardrop facelift.
Yes.
Yes.
And in fact,
yes,
allow me to cut you short. With the J150, we had the preface, the one that had block. It was not very attractive.
Yes.
Then
it's
we
the original
got
face.
the original face. Then
Yes.
we got the teardrop edition.
Yes,
And now we have this third facelift that was around 2017 thereabout.
September.
2017 September.
Yes.
Now there is something that people do, and that is I'm not pro facelift when it comes to J150s and 200 series.
Yes, original.
I am not pro facelift, and I keep on saying that. And it's not that when you say some of these things, people say you are against people who are in the business of facelift.
Yes,
but
yes.
you see, that's a personal preference.
Yes.
I don't know. My problem with facelift is that you just take out the original quality parts.
Yes, that were designed for that car. Yes.
And put in, some lights that are going to haze.
Yes. Most people do the left-hand drive lights. The left-hand drive lights, a lot of illumination is on oncoming traffic.
Yes.
A lot of on the road. Normally, a car when it's being designed, illumination should be the driver should be the first priority, and of course the areas surrounding them, but not other drivers.
Yes. So now, what is your take on facelifts?
Well, as you were told, I'm a car dealer. That's the first thing, and I deal a lot on the Prados. Normally, when I see a facelifted Prado or a Toyota Land Cruiser 200 series, the first thing I think, the car was facelifted because it had an accident. I know some dealers will they will talk bad because I've said this, but most of the people, they used to facelift their cars due to accidents. Because original, for example, that block light, the original face,
Yes.
that light, one light xenon costs 70,000, or can even be more. One genuine one. The facelift, both of them, the Chinese ones, for example, the teardrop people use for facelifting, two of them, you might get them for 50,000 or less, because you just put them, connect the lights, and that is it. So most of the time, there are people trying to cut corners after having an accident. People who can, most of the times, they can't afford the original parts, or they just want to cut on the expenses. So it's always, I always advise my clients, I always advise my friends and people around my circles, don't never buy a facelifted Land Cruiser. That's my take. I'm not doing this sitaki kuingilia biashara ya watu wa kufanya facelift, but don't buy that. And if you're going to buy it, let a mechanic check the structural, how that car is structurally, the chassis, the body, and everything. That's my take on facelift.
Very good.
Yes.
Now, before we proceed to the other more intricate basis,
Yes.
There's a question that two very interesting questions. One of them is from a guy called Vincent B, and his question is why we have a J in front of the chassis code of
The Land
most
Cruiser.
of Prados. And actually, to clarify to him, it's not a Prado thing. It's actually, and there's something that Christians really bashed me for saying that.
Yes.
But I say that there is the holy trinity of the Land Cruiser.
Mhm.
There is the heavy duty Land Cruiser,
the
or the
spec.
utilitarian ones, like the 79s.
Yes.
And
It's the
that
70
is
series.
the 70 series. There is also the station wagon or luxury.
Yeah, that's the 76.
Yes, the 76. And there is also now the light duty, now the likes of Akina Prado.
Yes.
Sindio?
Yes.
So all of them have a J, and the J, actually, if you go down memory lane. Now the first Land Cruisers were actually the utilitarian ones for military use.
Yes.
And the reason why they have that J is because they were inspired by the Willys Jeep. Yeah, so that
Correct.
J,
That's from the Jeep.
the unofficial way,
Yes.
actually, the unofficial thing is that it represents Jeep, but that is unofficial.
Let me cut you short. The Land Cruiser was the first car that looked, that looked the way the original Land Cruiser was a Jeep. Yeah. So Toyota, they, after the First World War, they needed something to come up. They needed something up to, something for the market. So they designed and copied and manufactured a car that looked like the Jeep, but of course with a different engine. And they called it the Jeep as well. And
the funny thing is that the Willys Jeep was the vehicle that inspired the Nissan Patrol.
Yes.
And the Toyota Land
Cruiser.
So I don't know about the Defender, but you see even some Suzukis, especially the earlier model Suzukis, the guys in the US still call them Jeeps.
Yes. Those cars that have that design, there in the US they still call them the Jeeps.
The Jeeps.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that is at least now you have the answer to this fellow, to Vincent.
It's a copy of the Jeep.
It's actually a copy of the Jeep.
Yes,
that's why there is something also very, very interesting about the relationship between the Land Cruiser and the Toyota Crown.
Yes.
So because the Land Cruiser sold so well even to the US, when Toyota wanted to introduce the Toyota Crown to the other markets, they used what was called the Land Cruiser strategy.
Yes.
So they would, in the showrooms, they would pack a Land Cruiser. The next week, pack a Toyota Crown. So that, because in the eyes of the Americans, they believed now that the Land Cruiser had served them very well, that it was obviously, true that the Crown would also come serve as well, but in a more comfortable
version.
Yes. So I think the Land Cruiser has some very good history.
It has a very good pedigree.
And now the other question I would like us to address here, Bona Humphrey, is actually very controversial. There's a guy who is called Collins KE, and he's asking, do you think the Prado J250 was a worthy evolution of the Prado J150? Did it do justice to its predecessor?
The J250, I don't think it's an advancement of the J150.
It's not.
The J250 is just a small J300. It's more on the J300 design language.
Yes, actually, with the TNGA, Toyota's new global architecture.
Yes.
Theirs is I know there are Forza on TNGA K, but TNGA is actually quite good. But what I think about the J250, most people say it looks bad. But for me, I love the J250 because of the history. Because actually, the reason why the J250 looks the way it does
Yes.
is because Toyota, there was a very high demand for 80 series.
The 80 series.
A very high
And
demand.
the older versions.
And the older versions,
Yes.
akina zilikuwa zinaitwa
The
70,
FJ40,
FJ40s.
FJ60.
And actually, the J250 is a reincarnation of the FJ60. So if you're an enthusiast,
Yes.
you will appreciate the J250. And they did quite some good things, like they eliminated air suspension 100%
Yes, all of them.
on the J250.
Yes.
They also made sure that the wishbones on the front suspension are they are
electronically adjusted.
Yes.
I'm forgetting the name. This thing we get on the Jeep Langlers.
And that thing,
Yes.
it's called electronically something. It's an electronic. Yeah, it's actually introduces a current to the shock absorbers, and
it's just a modern KDSS.
Yes. Exactly.
It's an advanced KDSS system.
Oh, it's an electronic KDSS. Sort of.
KDSS is still electronic and pneumatic.
Yes, but
and hydraulic as well.
So it's more. Let's just call it an advancement of KDSS.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting because even the, to be honest, it has better stability.
Yeah.
It has to enthusiasts, it looks the boxy look,
especially they call it the first edition, the one with the
round lights.
Looks very good.
That one I don't know why Toyota Kenya hawatuletei.
No, those ones are the production numbers were limited in Japan, but we can get grey imports. There are a lot of grey imports in Japan, South Africa, and Australia.
And we are going to find some few guys doing facelifts.
Of course, in the next 1 year or so, people will facelift their J150s and the J120s to look like the J250.
But I have seen guys trying to push their 300 series to look like the 200 to 300, yes. And it looks hideous. Zile curves za nyuma,
they put a kit there, but you can see
yes, it's a 200 series.
Yes.
So now, so do you think that the J250 is...
It's a win. The J250 is a win. Well, on the history, the kind of history people, those people who buy the J150s, I usually meet them a lot because I have my own J150s that I sell. They say the J250 doesn't look very good to them. But remember, that's where we are going. When we be importing 2024 cars, there will be no J150s.
Yes.
And they will have to have them. If you drive a J250, you realize it drives as close as a J300.
Actually, it feels more like a 300 series.
It feels like a 300 series. Feels like a sports car, and it's an SUV, a full-size SUV. Way more stable, better fuel economy. The brakes are good, less body roll, all that.
And the response is out of this. The steering feedback is out of this one.
Yes. The modern ones, they don't use the old school hydraulic. They use the servotronics.
Yes.
But it's a combination of hydraulic and electrical adjusted. And being Toyota, they will be reliable anyway. And not unlike the Subarus that but it's the reality anyway.
But let us talk about. Let me try to look at a few questions here before we wase waulizi maswali. Okay, Philip, these are good one. And this is something I would really love us to talk about.
Yes.
And it's something about the United Nations. So this question comes from Philip Wambetsa.
Yes.
And he's saying those UN TXs are quite awesome. I love how they whistle. But one thing about these UX, these UN Prados and the 200 series is that they are, and also the Fortuners, they are, even the vans, the Toyota Hiace, yes. they are made by Gibraltar.
Toyota in Gibraltar.
Yeah,
they are they are known for the humanitarian groups.
Yes.
And that's not the one that whistles on the Prado.
The one that whistles is
the Prado, the humanitarian Prado
is very basic.
That's bought by UN and those kind of corporations. It has the old
5L engine,
5E naturally aspirated diesel engine. That engine can run on what? That engine can run on oil. If you run out of diesel, you can run on oil. And you only change seals, and that is it. On that 5L engine, very reliable, workhorse, almost zero power. But if you get home,
I was explaining to some other fellow that you see those 5Ls on those L150s. Because they are called
They are known as
L150s.
they are L150s.
No, they are made in a way, yeah, LJ150s. They are made in a way that even a driver who will be sent to Lokichogio or Lokitang,
Yes.
gari kienda ipate shida, they can easily just take their screwdriver.
That is it.
Yani shida hiyo gari inaweza pata labda wiring.
Hata wiring ni kidogo sana. Because I don't know whether
they don't have an
ECUs.
ECU.
They don't.
They don't have a
It's
computer.
EFI, old school EFI. Yeah. No electronics, no problems.
That is true.
The one that whistles, to answer his question, is the Tropical KDJ 150. The Tropical KDJ 150 whistles because it doesn't have a DPF. Doesn't have those engines are Euro 4 on emissions.
Yes.
So it's the turbo that is pulling out, because these turbos are VGTs, variable geometry turbos.
Yes.
Turbos. That's the one that they're supposed to boost even at the low RPMs. So that's the turbo that is usually building boost, and they're whistling that way.
And that whistle is normally any Prado enthusiast. We love that.
It's mostly found on the tropical Toyota Kenya. South Africans, they don't have, but they muffle them. They just muffle, they just add a muffler, not a catalytic converter, no sensors, no nothing. Just a muffler on the exhaust system to muffle the sound out, to minimize the sound, just for comfort. Here in Toyota Kenya, because as we are sent most of the times, we are sent the basic ones, the entry level ones. That's where ours has the whistle. Yes.
Yeah. That's now let's proceed. Before now, guys, by the way, you can ask any questions as we proceed. The comment section is open for Q&A, and you can also call in live. Sawa. So, but now let's get to other matters. So, Humphrey.
Yes.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room. VXL. Hiyo ndio watu wanauziwa huku.
The VXL.
And I tell guys, you see, there's a gentleman who went to buy a VXL. Akasema nimepata VXL Mombasa. Nikamwambia there are no VXLs
in Mombasa.
There are no VXLs.
Okay, no original VXLs in Mombasa.
Ziko ni badge zimewekelewa.
Badge.
That is true.
That's a 3,000 shillings badge. Na imewekwa in the wrong position actually.
Hata ukiangalia.
The wrong position.
Humphrey, rudi hivi kidogo.
Yes.
So the one thing about how do you tell a real VXL? Because watu wanaingizwa.
Now, one, original VXLs, either the Toyota Kenya one or the South African ones, they all up to 2020 September, they all come with a 1 KD engine. Yes. The 3-liter engine. Most of the cars people are buying around up to 2018. So like now we're importing the 2018 cars. Original VXL, the first thing you need to know, it has to have rear active height control. That's rear air suspension. The second thing, it needs to have KDSS. You can easily see KDSS. Just look at the front left wheel. There is a gap there, and you will see a canister after the controller. So you see a canister there. It has to have KDSS. Inside, it has to have a center differential lock and a rear differential lock. It has to have the buttons for rear suspension, to raise the suspension and to lower the rear suspension, and to switch off the air suspension altogether. The VXL original, on the driver's door, there are 3 buttons. One written set, the other one written 1, and the other one, and the other button written 2. Those are memory seat functions for the driver's seat.
Yes. The
driver's seat has to be 8-way electrically adjusted with electric rubber. Original VXL has to have a cool box, factory cool box on the center console. That's original. Original VXLs, whether it's a 2009 or 2023, they'll have to have heated front seats, and the second row is also heated. All original VXLs, since inception in 2009 September, the rearmost seats, they have to be electrically adjusted. The third row, they're electrically adjusted. On the left panel, or rather on the left C pillar, there are buttons there to raise and lower the rearmost seats. All original VXLs, they have dual tanks. You easily know where they have dual tanks. They have the spare wheel is on the back tire, and underneath where other cars have the spare wheel, there is a tank, and the cover on the tank is it's steel.
Yes,
and it has to have another tank on the underneath the rear left door. There's now the main tank there. All original VXLs that are imports, they come from South Africa. That are imports. There are also some locals from Toyota Kenya, but most of them are Imports.
Imports, yeah.
Basically, mean if they are imports, they are from South Africa. So you'll check on the B pillar, the second pillar on the left, where you have the front left door. The pillar there is the chassis code is written there, and the Toyota emblem will be written Toyota Motor Corporation Pty Limited or Toyota South Africa Toyota Motor Corporation. The original ones, that's what was written there. If it's written Toyota something Japan, then there is another plate written Toyota Australia. Just know it's not a VXL. It's an Australian something. Might be a Kakadu, which looks like as a VXL. Kakadu. Might be a GX, might be a GXL, might be a VX, might be an Altitude. There are so many of them in Australia because Australia it's one of the biggest markets for the Prado and all the Land Cruisers actually. On the engine bay for the original 1KD Prado, original VXS, they don't have the EGR system. They only have a small pipe to reload the EGR, just to blank the EGR. So because they're Euro 4 emissions, they don't have the DPF. If it's from Toyota Kenya, to have a whistle, definitely. Some from South Africa, they have whistles as well, depending on what the original owner wanted. Some people, they say they want the muffler. The original builders, they want the muffler. Others say they want it to be to just be to be loud, to the exhaust to be free. The Toyota Kenya VXL is different from the South African VXL. I don't know whether Eric, you know the differences between the Toyota Kenya VXL and the South African VXL. All the iterations from 2009 all the way to, let's talk about to 2023. Those are all the iterations. Basically, 1KD engine and the 1GD engines. It's very easy to know the Toyota Kenya VXL. Very easy from outside. One, if for example it's a let's take for example a 2018, what most people have around. The 2018 Toyota Kenya VXL, the side steps are different from the South African side steps. The Toyota Kenya side step has it's more of a body kit. There is a plastic molding, an extra plastic molding on the side step. Most people around, they don't like it because if you go off-road, it's a weak point because it gets scratched and all that. The South African one doesn't have that extra. You usually get it mostly from the Japanese Prados that has the modelista body kit.
Yes.
It's taken from there. The Toyota Kenya VXL doesn't have Toyota TSS system. Toyota TSS is the Toyota Safety Sense System.
Yes, the cameras.
The cameras, the sensor on the logo, the lane departure alert system,
blind spot monitoring.
No,
they have BSM.
They don't have BSM.
Yes, they don't have.
They don't have blind spot monitor. Those are sensors on your blind spots at the back there.
And you know the funny thing,
yes.
Humphrey.
Yes.
You know even the locally assembled J250.
Yes, they are not assembled locally. They are manufactured.
Those ones. Let's.
It's for the Kenyan market.
For the Kenyan market.
Yes.
They also don't have Toyota's pre-safe system.
The preface, yes, they don't have it.
And you see, I spoke to someone, and I will not mention their name, but when I asked why don't you have this on the VXLs and even the J250s, and they said our roads are not.
I'll tell you why.
Well designed.
It's not because of our roads.
And you see, that's a lame excuse because Subaru eyesight is working.
Yes.
The imported ones are working.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
So why do you tell us that our roads are not well designed, marked for that?
Do you know the cost of installing that Toyota? The whole thing is known as Toyota TSS, Toyota Safety System. Do you know the cost of installing it? If it was installed on those Toyota Kenya VXLs, the price would have gone to over 20 million. People would never buy them. So when they were being tropicalized for Kenya, I'm pretty sure those people, the engineers who had that job, they said we don't want that. It will make the car too expensive.
More expensive.
People will buy them. The sales will go down. But in South Africa, the VXL has all that. Has the Toyota Safety System, has the ladder cruise control, adaptive ladder cruise control, just like the Subaru eyesight system, and nowadays on the Mercedes Distronic and the BMW system, most of the modern cars have that thing. But underneath the South African one and the Toyota Kenya one, even the chassis numbers, they're almost similar. They're almost the same.
Now, let's talk about something else. Now that we have some what are they called? Some unique selling features of the VXL.
Yes.
So why do you think people watu wanauziwa hizi there's a guy who bought one and when I came to check it out,
Yes.
because I told him there is no VXL in Mombasa. So he went and bought a VXL, but he had told me haina hainui suspension nyuma. Then he told me haina memory seats, haina multi-terrain system.
That was possibly a GX.
It was a GX from Australia. No sunroof. No sunroof.
Yeah, it's a GX.
That was a GX, and now he was saying no, but Mhindi alisema iko na tank mbili ni VXL.
That's an Australian car.
And then the other thing is, if you look at the import documents and they read United Arab Emirates,
they don't need United Arab Emirates. Yeah, they did
UAE.
Sharjah, UAE.
Yes,
not Dubai, UAE. Sharjah,
UAE.
Sharjah, UAE is an industrial part of the UAE. That's where most of the times, those people, they buy those. Oh my God, I'm sorry saying this. Sorry to say this. So those cars, usually accident cars or flooded cars in Australia. And because Kenyans want cheap Prados, cheap VXLs.
Yes.
So they buy cheap GXLs. Some people buy even the VX, or even some Attitudes, some Kakadus, depending on the cost. But the accident cars. And you can bring an accident car to Kenya. Because when you import a car to Kenya, it has to be cleared by KEBS. Through the company they have contracted, QSJ. So they take them to Dubai Freeport, take them to Sharjah, do everything. They will do some funny things, body kit, like VXL, they don't have body kit.
Yes.
They don't, because those are tropical. They are for tropical market. They'll put funny wood veneers inside, wood veneer on the center console, very shiny. Very shiny. Big Tesla radio, They know Kenyans have flashy things and all that. But all those things are done in Sharjah. Some will even be, they will be having fabric seats. They'll put leather seats. But you realize it has leather seats, but they are manual. You have to pull like the Probost seats and all that. And Beaton, it's a VXL. So that's what they do. Because Kenyans want them cheap. Because original VXLs are very expensive, Even from South Africa, original VXL is very expensive.
Now, another question. Yes. A gentleman inboxed me today morning when they saw this poster that you are talking about, the Toyota Prados, especially this generation.
Yes.
Now, one thing is, he told me that he's being sold to a Kakadu that does not have a spare tire mounted on the rear door.
On the rear door.
On the rear tailgate, but it has everything that a Kakadu has.
What year is it? There are some Kakadus that don't have the two tanks. They don't have the back the boot mounted spare wheel.
Okay.
Yes, original Kakadus. There are some people from 2018. It has to be 2018 and newer.
Yes, it's a 2018.
From 2018, in Australia, you're able to say whether you want the rear mounted spare wheel or the underneath mounted spare wheel, like the Japanese versions. Legit Kakadu. Okay. But just no Kakadu has to have rear entertainment on the top there. But remember, even Altitude has that rear entertainment. So for you to get it correct, Kakadu has the same features as VXL. Air suspension at the back. That's standard. KDSS, even the Australian VX has.
Yes.
It has KDSS, but doesn't have air suspension.
Yes.
So air suspension it's a must. It's compulsory here for you to get the top of the trims. Then Kakadu from Australia has the TSS system, has the ladder cruise control, has the LDA, lane departure alert system, has a cool box, has the multi-terrain select system, has the button for the crow control, there are 2 buttons there, has the buttons for the air suspension to switch on and switch off, and buttons to put the 3 different modes for the suspension: sport, normal, and comfort.
And 2 deflocks.
And center differential lock and rear differential lock. Yes. And the steering wheel has to be electric.
Yes, it's telescopic.
Telescopic. Yes. It has to be electric. Telescopic and what this kusongesha na kuinua juu. It has to be electric. And also on the driver's door, lazima upate the 3 buttons we said, the ones for the seat memories. That's a must. If you're not getting that, that's not a Kakadu.
Now, tumeongea kuhusu Kakadu.
Yes.
The other thing is, in your opinion, which would be, because I see we are pressed for time, which would be the best Prado in your opinion to buy? Which would be the, when it comes to the J150, which one has, because you see VXLs and Kakadus are priced quite.
They're expensive because of the extras they have.
Yes.
Are you talking about the grey imports or a car that's best suited for our market?
Yes, for our market.
The best car is the TX or the TXL. In Toyota Kenya, the Toyota Kenya TXL is a bit different from the South African TXL. Though in South Africa they don't have a TXL, it's known as a TX. But let me teach you about the South African TX and the Toyota Kenya TX and the Toyota Kenya TXL. I'll start with the South African one. The South African, by the way, South Africa they only have 3 iterations of the Prado: the TX, the VX, and the VXL. The VX and the VXL, they're basically the same thing, only that some VXs don't have original sunroof, some have, but people get confused. But the VX doesn't have the Toyota safety system, doesn't have ladder cruise control, lane departure alert system, they don't have that. So the South African TX has factory leather seats that are heated and cooled, and has a cool box. And it will be having daytime running lights. Remember the Toyota Kenya TX, they don't have daytime running lights.
In fact, their lights ni zile za yellow.
Ni ile inaitwa halogen.
Halogen,
The
yes.
halogen light. Even the South African one are halogen. They're not xenons, but on the side has some extra strips. Three LED bulbs. Daytime running lights. I think it's a standard for South Africa for cars from 2018 to have daytime running lights. Then we go to the Toyota Kenya TX. The Toyota Kenya TX has fabric seats. Some don't have sunroof, depending on what the original owner wanted, and some have a sunroof. Actually, in Toyota Kenya, to be honest, they don't have a TX. It's a TXL. I remembered. Okay. Toyota Kenya, they don't have a TX. It's a TXL, and they have fabric seats. Some have sunroof, some don't have, and the seats are manual for the Toyota Kenya TXL. Basically, they just want to. They usually make the cars to be affordable. I'll be honest about you. What I believe Toyota does is just badge engineering, giving people what they want. You want TXL? We'll just give you a TX. We give you fabric seats, manual seats, no fridge, no nothing, and then put TXL, and people will buy. They used to fly off the shelves in Toyota Kenya because they were bought by the government for the not really the CSS. They usually have the VXS, the top people in government and in the public service, they have the VXS, but people below them, slightly below them, they are given all those TXS. But as we know, they are TXS, the original are TXS. So the best car for Kenya, and this from a personal experience, importing those cars, driving them, selling to customers, getting feedback over the years, is the TX. TX doesn't have KDSS. In as much KDSS is good on stability, not so much. It improves stability about 20%. Remember, this is an extra part, an extra mechanical part that has been added. That's about to get, to go bad after some point. The KDSS oil can leak. The bushes, all that, anything they can go bad. That car, people in Kenya misuse the Prado because they drive it like a sports car. But I will be honest with you, even the VXL, the air suspension and the KDSS, if you drive it around corners at more than 80 kph or more than 100 kph, it will still roll. It will still roll, even with those extra parts, because those KDSS and the air suspension, they were put there for off-roading. They're not put there for you to make the car as a sport car.
Yes.
So as I was saying about the TXL, the cars that don't have air suspension and the KDSS, you have less parts to go bad. You don't have for example, the VXLs with the air suspension, they have a compressor pump for the air suspension. It goes bad with the time because of age. You don't have the bellows for the rear suspension. They can start leaking as well. The car will start sagging on one side or on the rear, and all the air lines along the chassis. I believe our market, the best car for the best Prado is the TX or the TXL. The one that doesn't have the air suspension, the one that doesn't have the KDSS. Doesn't do a lot of difference in it. That's for off-roading. It's not for using, for crowding into malls and doing high speeds on the expressway and Vika Road. Ukikibizana na pickups za Mira.
Yes.
It is still all.
So there's a guy called Travo here who is saying, can you guys tell the difference between a 2010 facelifted J150 and a 2018 one from the interior?
From the interior, you can always tell. For example, the original face, if it's for example a VXL, the buttons for the air suspension, the buttons for the differential locks were down there. They were at on the center console down there
on the lower side,
on the lower part there.
Yes.
And then the buttons for the air suspension were beside the steering wheel.
Yes.
That's on the original face, and most people won't be able to relocate that. They won't relocate that. So you can easily tell. Actually, even from outside, you can tell. just tell that person to start the car when the lights are on.
Or if it doesn't have the
If
adaptive.
they don't have the Toyota automatic focusing system, Toyota AFS, it is actually supposed to show you on the clock there. If it doesn't adjust up and down,
you're the facelift.
yes, it's a facelift. You're easily able to tell them.
Sawa.
Then you like hata mata utapata zikifade easily. Sometimes they fade.
Hizi mata watu wanaweka huku.
Hizo za facelift.
So there is also another one, okay, does it mean that the VXL from Toyota Kenya, Kakadu from Australia, and TZG Japan are basically the same? Now, before you answer this one,
yes,
I will also and Masai inaenda, but since we had a delay, you can give us up to 9:30. Let's talk about the Japanese LDA, 3DAS.
I'll mention what LDA is and 3DA.
3DAS.
So now, for the Japanese Prado, or both petrol and diesels, initially from the original phase, since 2009 all the way to 2020 July, they were using the LDA, then J150 code. So basically the chassis is the same, the brakes, everything is the same. Then from 2020 September, now they brought a new version. They updated the chassis, known as the 3DA. It's still on the original J150 chassis, yes, but now known as 3DA.
And we have somebody from Texas calling. Kidogo tu tusikie anasema nini. Hello? Hello?
I would like to talk to Eric.
Yes, this is Eric speaking.
No, it's not Eric. I can watch live.
This is Eric speaking. We are live on air.
Okay, Mr. Eric, how are you? My name is Dennis Aunga. I'm calling you from Texas.
Okay.
And I would like to inquire, so that now that you are talking about Prado, I wanted to inquire something about Prado J95.
Yes.
Is it a good vehicle that somebody can start life with?
Okay. So, Humphrey.
Yes.
Now, when you talk about
if you find,
pardon?
If you find time, if you're still live, you can talk about it. I want to listen to it.
In fact, we are giving you the answer right away, sir. Right away.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
So let's finish up on this other matter before we talk about 3DA. Then we can talk about the J95.
So the 3DA, people still don't know a lot about it because they debuted in 2020 September. That's when they started being produced. And remember, right now we're still importing a lot of 2018 Prados.
Yes.
And the newer they are, the more taxes we pay, so the more expensive it becomes. But the 3DA is a refined J150. That's why they have that model code before the chassis. Basically, it's a facelift of the chassis.
Yes.
So they updated the brakes, the calipers, the brake disc. They updated the suspension. The shocks are a bit different. For the diesel versions, they tuned them. Originally, the Prado with the original diesel engine, the 1GD engine from Japan, had 176 horsepower. The new one has 201 horsepower. And driving it's different because the torque is different. It has more torque, 600 Newton meters of torque, whereas the original one was 500 Newton meters of torque. Even the sound itself is different. It also has the interiors are a bit different because we've got two new models. We have the 70th anniversary and we have the black edition with the 3DA on the 3DA chassis. The black edition, everything is black. The paint might be white, but the limbs will be black, gloss black or matte black. The mirror caps will be black. The interior, the seats will be black. Everything will be black. Or you can get one that is everything black. Even the paint is black. The roof rails are black, and the grill is black, matte black. So some people loved it that way from Japan. Those are special editions. Then the 17th anniversary is also on the 3DA chassis, still from late 2020. The leather seats will be brown. Factory brown seats.
Yes.
And it's different from the G Frontier seats. There was a G Frontier series on the TXL that started in the G Frontier was between 2016 and 2017 up to 2017 July. It was also a special, like it was commemorating. I think it was it's just something for the Japanese market. The G Frontier had brown seats. The mirror caps were silver. The roof rails caps were silver as well. All the G Frontiers they had 7-seaters. But not all 70th anniversaries or black editions are 7-seaters.
7-seaters,
Some
yes.
are 5-seaters, some are 7-seaters. But all of them are TXLs. How do you know a TXL? The driver seats has to be electric.
Yes.
The left front seats has to be electric as well.
Mm.
The front seats are heated. And from 2018, they're heated and cooled
Yes.
as well. So 3DF, just I was telling you, it's an update on the gearbox, an update on the engine, update on the suspension, same old suspension, the coil spring suspension, but they just updated it. It minimized a bit of the the loading, the side loading, but still did not have KDSS.
Okay. What about the water-cooled intercoolers?
Now, to add power, they had to make sure the air was more efficient. The air on a turbocharged car, it gets cooled from the turbo, gets cooled by the intercooler.
Intercooler,
They
yes.
can be air-to-air intercooler or air-to-water intercooler. Air-to-water would be more efficient because water takes more heat away from the air, making the air more dense.
Yes.
It becomes more dense, has more oxygen, better combustion, and more power. So the water-cooled diesel engine, that one started in August 2018, but they did not tune for power.
So it was just an
It was still
intercooler.
the same 176 horsepower, but the intercooler was water cooled. You know it because the coolant reservoir, there are two caps on the coolant reservoir.
Yes.
For the one that is water cooled. The one that's air cooled, the intercooler is air cooled. Only has one radiator cap for
Okay.
for the coolant.
Now, let's go back now to the gentleman from Texas.
Yes.
The J95.
Yes.
My own experience with the J95.
Yes.
I would say if you're buying a J95, buy auto. Because the manual, they came with a dual mass flywheel.
Yes.
You know what happens when you ukianza kushtua gari ya dual mass.
Yes.
Or if you drive it like an idiot or like a rookie.
Yes.
Then the J95 was blessed to have almost all the engines that Toyota has had on the modern Prado. The 3RZ, they got also the 1KD, they got the 5L, they got the 5VZ,
the 3.4 liter V6.
V6, yes, they also got these the 1KZ. So they were blessed to have so many engines.
The J95 was produced around the turn of millennium when things were good, and nowadays things are just going south.
Yes.
So it was around the climax of vehicle production. So the J95, I don't know, it's more of the J70 series.
Yes.
It deviates away from the J95 were produced side by side with the J100, and also towards the late J80. So
Yes.
it incorporates some things from the J80, the J120, and the J100. If you sit inside it, you will find yourself, it's like you're in a small J100, like you're in J80, the 80 series. And also, you'll feel like also, if you've ever been in a 120, you'll
Yes.
feel there's some literal 120ness in it.
Especially when you're driving it.
Yes.
And it feels very 120-ish.
It has some 120-ish, but it drives horribly compared to the 120. 120 is it's more refined.
There is too much body roll.
Yes.
But also when you're braking, it's somewhat nose heavy.
It's very nose heavy, but the 100s are like that.
And now let's go back to something else. The interior. They also have very different interiors.
Yes.
There are some that will come even with a compass. There are some that would have so many digital things as are very analog. There are some from some markets they came with miles per hour. There are just so many variants of the 95.
The 95 was produced when I would say at the climax of motor vehicle engineering that particular time, because has like most things, good things from most of these versions. The only problem the J95 has, it's tall and narrow.
Yes.
So being tall and narrow, it becomes susceptible to rollovers. But if you use it for what it was made for, you'll never roll it.
The other thing, it's quite slow.
It has slow.
Even the generation of the 1KD on it was the first variants that were not very powerful and not.
That turbo was a single stage. It was not VGT.
Yes.
That was in 2001.
Yeah, around 2001.
2000 there, around.
Yeah, actually, was it?
But the final ones were 2001.
2001, yes, around there.
Maybe even some 2002s that were made together with the J120. Toyota does that. Like the J120, there was a time the J120 was made together with the J150. I think it was
And
a 9.
just like the way we had at a time when the H100 Hiace was
Yes.
made simultaneously with the H200.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the same assembly line.
Yes.
So if you want to get the J95, use it for what it was made for. It's not a sport car.
Yes.
You might get it with the 1 kd engine and you feel it's very sweet, on hills and all that. But remember, it doesn't corner because it's it's a 4x4 car. It's narrow and tall. But if you use it for that, you take it as an off-road car, it will serve you well. Has very reliable engines. For example, if you get 1KZ engine, it's EFI turbocharged. So
with a rotary pump, doesn't have a common rail.
Yes, it's not common rail. Bad fuel consumption, but if you have diesel, to take you there.
Terrible gearbox.
They are 4 speeds, most of them.
Exactly, they are 4 speeds.
With very long gear ratios.
Very long gear ratios.
But remember the first generation J100s had they also 4 speeds, long ratios. But that gearbox will never kill it on the J100.
That is true.
So it's a good car. It's a good car.
It's not a bad car.
But don't speed with it. Don't try to do things that you see people doing with the J250s with it.
Even J150s.
Or even J150s.
So now let's talk about some other questions quickly as we wind up.
Yes.
Benedict, first time buyer, which one would you advise between a Volkswagen Golf Mark 7 and a Civic Type R FK8?
Reliability.
Honda.
Take Honda. They make the best engines.
Exactly. So Benedict, you have the answer. Then there was also a fellow here who used his name is Dennis Wainoi. He's asked, what's your opinion on the new model Prado? I think he's saying the J250. Do you think it's overpriced to other models, or is it better to buy the LC300?
Well, I would advise just buying an LC300. But you can get a J250 at less than 15 million, everything landed.
Talk to Humphrey.
Yeah, I'm an importer. I'll bring you from Japan.
And by the way, we are still filming from Grande Motor Imports. Tuliwambia kuhusu Toyota hybrids na Grande wanapeana a 16-month warranty if you import any Toyota hybrid with them. Tom's number is in the description, unaweza mpigia alafu awambie hiyo maneno ya warranty, and also some other vehicles that you might want to import from Japan, Thailand, and the UK. Now, Humphrey.
Yes.
The other thing tulikuwa tunaongea, and that's a very good point about the pricing point of the J250 and the pricing point of the LC300. Now, if you're bringing a J250, what do you think would be a realistic landing price?
One, I would advise you to get a J250 with the 1GD engine. So basically, GD J250, first edition ZX. And if possible, get it in avant-garde bronze color. Avant-garde bronze color, it's the bronzish, the dust bronze. The color code is 4V8.
Yes.
I'll tell you about this because those are the cars that I bring most of the times. I know them often. So from Japan, we can bring you that car full spec with the 2 D-flocks, sunroof, 7-seater, cool box, and everything at 15 million to you.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's a 6 million bana.
Yeah.
Watu wananunua hizi magari bei zingine za ajabu.
Unajua sasa inategemea. They're still new because they are 24 models and now 25 models.
Yes. And now the other question, now that you have talked about that,
Yes.
Talk to the people who would like to import a vehicle from South Africa. Because you are an expert.
I'm an importer from South Africa. I have an office, by the way. I'm serious on this. I have an office in Centurion, Gauteng province, South Africa. I bring cars from South Africa by air. We clear them at JKI. I bring them by road, overlanding, driven in 4 days. I have a team of drivers, and the cars are insured. The drivers are insured as well, and they can also be carried by a car carrier from Centurion to Namanga. So we've got good clear agents in Namanga, good clear agents at JKI. Get any model from South Africa, we bring for you. But remember, there are a lot of stolen cars in South Africa. So I'll easily get you a good car. We'll come with South African police clearance. We'll come with Interpol police clearance. We'll come with the export certificate from South Africa. Inspection will be done in South Africa. Full inspection. We can do a declar inspection for you, free of charge. That's a 24-point checkup for you. So you'll contact us first.
Okay. Asante sana. Now, while matters that before hii show ni mzuri sana before tuifunge. Now, there is somebody who asked about with the new age of the J1, the J250,
Yes.
are they likely to see a hybrid Prado? And you see, we actually have one.
They are there.
They are there.
Yes,
but
mild hybrid.
mild hybrids.
Yes.
They are mild hybrids. Actually, Toyota on even on the Hilux, the Hilux is
Even
a
on
mild
the
hybrid.
J300.
Even the those are mild
They are
hybrids.
mild
They are not. Toyota take their time to any car that is going to be used in harsh and treacherous conditions.
Yes.
Most of the times they'll try to make them as
Yes.
reliable as possible.
As simple as possible.
Simple as possible.
Yeah.
Simple and slick. Now, another question: Honda Stepwagon 2000cc hybrid and 1500cc turbo. Which one is best? It depends on how on the use. But personally, I would buy the 1500cc turbo.
The turbo, because
Yes.
better fuel consumption,
Performance as well.
as
And
well.
the simpler the better.
Yeah.
If you can avoid that hybrid unit,
But the natural aspirator is always the best.
but now the problem with the natural aspirator one is
The 2 liter.
the 2 liter
Yes.
plus a hybrid unit.
Avoid that.
Atkinson cycle nini
Mm.
chukua but if kama ni mse watao chukua hybrid, Honda hybrids actually live for very long.
Yeah, Honda they make their own engines. Honda the engine manufacturers.
Yes.
They have a very good history in making engines even for F1
Yes.
racing. So anything else will go bad, the engine will really go bad. And if you find yourself killing a Honda engine,
You're careless.
you'll kill even the Toyotas and everything else. Yeah.
So Dennis Muli is asking, hey Waka, be nice show by the way. My question is, can you swap at the timing belt of a BP9 Subaru with the timing chain? No, you can't.
You can't. Timing belt is, remember, it's lubricated, oil lubricated.
Yes.
And the timing belt timing belt is not supposed to mix with oil.
It's not supposed to mix with oil.
Belt, rubber doesn't mix with oil. You mix that, it becomes brittle.
Na inakatika.
Inakatika.
Sawa. So in a nutshell, touchscreen graphics anauliza, in a nutshell, are you insinuating that Kakadu and South Africa versions are the best VXLs?
Actually, the Kakadu is not the best. Remember, it's Euro 6 engine.
It's Euro 6, yeah.
So you can't put our diesel there. You have issues with injectors. You have issues. Perhaps you are driving in town, the DPF will clog and all that. The best, okay, if you want the high end, get the South African VXL.
But there are some Kakadus without a DPF and without AdBlue.
But the engine still has to be Euro 6.
Euro 6.
They're very strict in Australia.
Yes,
they're very strict. We'll have EGR, we'll have all that. And VXLs don't have even EGR. They have a Linutin for EGR. Yes.
So ni gari inapumua kupumua.
Ipumue. Here we don't have enough. Well, this is my own opinion. We don't have enough cars to damage our ozone layer. That's my own opinion.
And we have enough trees.
And we have enough trees. They say we live in the jungle.
So Bobby Mugambi is saying next live educate us on 650cc 1000cc juu si kila mtu amekafunga. Tutafika hapo.
K-cars, tell them they are very famous in Japan, by the way, for a reason, those K-cars.
Yes.
The 660cc and the 1000cc ones.
And now there's even a culture of them becoming popular. Guys are importing them to the US from Japan,
from
like
Japan.
In crazy numbers.
Yes.
And that especially the trucks.
The K-trucks.
The K-trucks.
Yes.
And that is driving their prices to insane levels.
In auction, yeah.
So the last question as we funga, Efesa Joel, between TX and VXL, which one would you advise me to buy? VXL back.
Yeah, it's the top of the trim.
Yeah,
Get the best
VXL.
things.
Kama unafika bei,
Yes.
yeah, get the finer things.
Lakini nao bei, yeah.
Lazima wafike bei.
Yes.
So I hope this has been an insightful live show with Humphrey. You remember number ya Humphrey iko hapo. If you have any Prado questions, if you want to import a Prado from South Africa, he's opening a showroom. Tell us about the showroom.
Yes, delighted to say open in the next 1 week or 2 weeks. I'll be opening a showroom behind Rudamont on Kiabu Road. The name of the showroom is HJN Luxury Motors Limited. You'll find their VXLs, legit VXLs. You'll find them there.
Za ukweli.
Yeah, za ukweli.
By the way,
I'll teach you a lot on the Prados as well.
We need to come and like have a comparison on. By the way, guys, we have a video coming up next Monday that we compared the VXL. No, not the VXL. The TZG and the Kakadu. Yeah, so we just did a comparison between the two. But tell us one more thing before we pick this. Ama kwanza tuchukue simu. Let's see the last question. Amekata bwana. Na huyu jamaa alipiga last week pia bila airtime. Lakini haikuna shida. So what when it comes to the kakadu, we cannot say it's tropicalized, but we can say it's quite hardy. It's built for the treacherous Australian outback.
Kakadu suspension wise is just like the VXL. It's very hardy. The only issue is on the emissions, on the engine. And actually it's only on the engine. So underneath on the suspension is as good as the VXL. But the engine, if you want to live with it as an Euro 6 engine, it's up to you.
Yes.
But we able also to tropicalize them here in Kenya. We can read the DPF here. We can route the EGR as well. You can use the nose and the injectors from the VXL and they will work.
They will work.
They will work. Then you detune it as well because of our diesel.
Okay.
And also you add a water separator. Yeah, you add a water separator and always use genuine parts on those diesel cars. Even if it's the VXL, don't go buying parts, fake parts.
Za kina Kafengo Motors.
Just buy genuine parts.
Sawa. Sasa kuna watu wanasema ati tunafunga live mbio. But kuna mtu anauliza how can you compare Outback and Mazda CX-5 diesel? You cannot compare those two.
The one is a crossover, the one is more
a lifted wagon.
A lifted, it's actually a lifted Outback.
Lifted
Legacy. Yes.
Yeah. Although now they discontinued the Legacy.
Yeah. For the Livogue.
But
the Outback is still there.
But what's your thought on the Livogue?
The Livogue, they wanted to make the Legacy sporty. So they brought the Livogue, and also they wanted to separate it completely from the Outback. So they become two different lines. The Livogues, there are some that comes the 2-liter DIT engine, and they give STAs a run for their money.
But those DIT engines, they are not my favorite because they are susceptible to knock. You know,
no, just use clean fuel. If you talk to some of us, we'll add some additives there to raise the
that is octane boosters.
Tell them by then my daily car is a sports car, so
no, but let's be honest. These FA20, FA16, they have been a lemon on Kenyan roads.
I will say about fuel quality. That's the biggest problem because those cars they're made to run on alloy 96 and above.
Yes.
The best we have is alloy 93 on the
93, yes.
And that's V power. And most people even don't want to fuel V power because they want to save some few coins here and there.
And the other thing is oil.
And also the kind of oil used. Oil actually matters a lot of things. The viscosity, the oil temperatures, the optimum landing temperatures, and all that.
And the other thing,
and
even
service parts.
Remember, these are very they are high compression engines. So if you mix bad fuel and bad oil,
and also even the air itself, because some use non-genuine air cleaners.
Air cleaners, yes.
All those things.
Unajua watu wanapuuza maneno ya air cleaner. Wasema air cleaner ni air cleaner. But especially turbocharged vehicles and also even kawaida yenyewe, as long as dust seeps in, it will somehow end up with
and tell them our environment is very dusty. If you want to know it, just leave your, just don't open your engine for like 2 weeks and then open it. You'll find a lot of dust in the engine. So just imagine how much dust it's being sucked inside the engine now.
And it goes and bruises the sleeves.
Yes.
Gari inaanza kunywa oil.
Hata fuel consumption pia inaenda juu.
So guys, thank you so much for joining us. It has been, we have had fun. At least we learn about Prados today.
There's a lot. Tell them there is a lot.
Actually, there's a lot we have left.
If you wanted to say everything about the Prado, you could have taken like 8 hours.
But one thing is, we are going to film a podcast episode, which might be more of a repeat on this. I believe with a podcast, you're going to have more time, and it's going to be packaged the way guys can even listen as they drive.
Yeah.
Sindio?
Yes.
Sawa. So guys, see you next Wednesday on Konnekt Live. We're going to have something for you on direct importation. Sahi najua kuna story mingi sana za direct importation. How do you import your vehicle the right way? Stay tuned guys, next Wednesday.